Hello, you're welcome to Learn Bio with EJ, where we explore different branches of biology and as well appreciate the beauty of life. We're going to be looking into an interesting topic, which is the cell. What is the cell? Cell is defined as a basic, structural, and functional unit of life. So there are some keywords I would want us to look at. The first one is basic. Another word for basic is foundation. Before any building is raised, a foundation is laid. So it means that before the existence of a living organism, the foundation, which is the cell, is laid. Number two word which we need to look at is structural. Structural means shape. So the shape of a cell determines the structure of that living organism. Another important word is functional. Functional means purpose. Each of the cells have a specific function, a specific purpose which they carry out in order for organism to exist. So it means that a cell is not just the foundation of a living organism, but the cell also gives shape on which that organism will look. And the purpose of each cell determines the survival of that living organism. The scientist who first discovered the cell is Robert Hooke, and he used a light microscope, and that was in the year 1665. The study of a cell is what we call the cytology. So now we're going to look into the structure, the typical structure of a cell. I will use an animal cell for an example. So looking at this animal cell, you will see that there are components that make up this cell. And these components that make up the cell is what we call the organelles. Organelles. The first organelle we'll look at is peroxisome. Peroxisome is a site responsible for lipid metabolism and detoxification. And we know that metabolism actually means the chemical reaction which occurs in a place. So in order for the breakdown, the chemical reaction to take place in a lipid, it must occur in the peroxisome. Another one we need to look at is the centrosome and the centrioles. The centrioles is found in the centrosome, and these two contains what we call a microtubule. And this microtubule is actually responsible for cell division. The next one is the lysosome. Lysosome is derived from the word lysis. Lysis means break down. So, lysosome is responsible in the breakdown of worn-out parts of the cell, thereby giving way for healthy cells to grow. The next one is ribosome. Ribosome is a site for protein synthesis. Synthesis means building up. So ribosome is actually the site where proteins are being built up. The next one is cilium. Cilium is a projection which aids in the movement of an animal cell. The next one we need to look at is the cell membrane. Cell membrane can also be called a plasma membrane. A plasma membrane is a thin, flexible structure which protects the cytoplasm, and it also serves as a selective permeable membrane which allows materials to move in and out of the cell. The next one we're to look at, we have what we call endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum, generally its function is in the protein and lipid synthesis. It is a site that regulates protein and lipid synthesis. But here we have a smooth endoplasmic reticulum and we have a rough endoplasmic reticulum. A smooth endoplasmic reticulum is a site that does not have the attachment of ribosome on the surface, while the rough endoplasmic reticulum is the site that has a rough surface on which the ribosome is attached on it. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum consists of, or it has enzymes, and these enzymes help to detoxify drugs. While the rough endoplasmic reticulum transports metabolic products within the cytoplasm. The next one we have is the nucleus. The nucleus is made up of 4 components. The first one is the nuclear pore. The word pores means hole. The nuclear pores enables materials to move in and out of the nucleus. The nucleolus is a spherical structure which contains the hereditary material that is being transferred from parents to offspring. We have the nucleoplasm. The nucleoplasm is a fluid on which the nucleolus is suspended on. We have the nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope is a membrane which encloses the nucleus, and it also allow materials to move in and out. So generally, the nucleus is a site that controls the activities that take place in the cell. And it also contains hereditary materials that are being transferred from parents to offspring. We have the mitochondrion. Mitochondrion is a rod-shaped structure which has high concentration of active cells. And this mitochondrion is known as the powerhouse of a cell because it's where energy is being generated. We have the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a semi-fluid material on which every other organelle is suspended on. The cytoplasm carry out what we call a streaming movement on which materials are evenly distributed within the cell. We have the next one, which is the is the secretory vesicle. Secretory vesicle is actually a site for storage. It stores materials and as well allows the transportation of molecules outside the cell. Lastly, under this animal cell is the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is the site where modification, packaging, and transportation of proteins and lipids produced by the cell. So when I talk about modification, it means changes. So once the cell produces proteins and lipids, the Golgi apparatus is responsible in changing the molecules of these proteins and as well packaging and distributing them within the cell. The next one, which is the last we'll look at, is the plant cell. There are some organelles present in an animal cell that cannot be seen in a plant cell. So some of those organelles which we can see in a plant cell that cannot be found in an animal cell. The number one of it is the vacuole. Vacuole is known as a site for storage. It stores water, nutrients, and waste products. And this vacuole has what we call a tutor pressure, which helps to maintain the cell shape or the rigidity of the cell. The next one that is also very important is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is the site for photosynthesis. We know that photosynthesis is where light is being trapped into the cell of a plant in order for food to be produced. The next one we have is the cell wall. The cell wall is a thick, tough material that actually gives rigidity, shape. It provides support and mechanical protection on the cell. Also, the cell wall can allow certain materials to move in or out of the cell. The last one is the plasmodema. Plasmodema is a site responsible for communication and transportation between the cells. So, what plasmodema does is allows communication to occur between the cells and at the same allowing transportation to occur. So with these explanations on the functions of each of these organelles, you can see that without these functions, there wouldn't be the existence of this cell. And without the existence of this cell, there wouldn't be a living organism. Now I have come to the end of this class. You can as well drop your questions and I will answer it.